My surname, my last name is Dios, is God. I should have been able to chosen. I was assigned this last name, God, Dios. No, I was not born in Bilbao. I'm not from Bilbao, northern Spain. I'm from Buenos Aires. God is from Argentina. This is it. No, no. The idea of God will pay you for that does not exist in through things. Especially Saturday night, you have to pay for your drinks, not God. Make it clear. This point made clear. As Roman said, I'm part of Akamai. Akamai. Should be interested in what Akamai is, I will give you an extra different Akamai session. But now I want to share a couple of things I share within Akamai. We in Akamai we generate so much information regarding internet, which is the ecosystem we are living from. We are living and making a living on, and as of today, we want to show you what we're seeing in the internet and what it's like to get information from the internet, and then we are circulating over the internet. Do you know what Akamai is? Are you familiar with Akamai? I have a slightest idea. Akamai. Akamai is not a very well-known company, but everybody here is using Akamai. Are you aware of that, my friends? Akamai as of today is a platform on the internet, rendering services, video streaming, security, acceleration. Everybody here has sometimes been using it. Akamai is not a very widespread and well-known company from a public viewpoint, because we are not a company. We are not selling products to the consumers, but we are very deep rooted into the internet. For you to understand where we are coming from and how we got to this place, to this venue, the presence of Akamai on the internet is what gives us the opportunity to give you so much information and to give on the cloud security service to our client. So now information is the best asset in our society. The image you can see on screen is that Akamai is a company not coming from the per se technological world. Akamai was born some years ago as a project from a math teacher, math guy. For those in the 90s, when Timber was working on the project, which now is the web per se. When we were talking with Tim Blinton, he commented that perhaps internet got a good attraction on people and was full of people. Tom Layton, our founder, which is a mathematical applied mathematical teachings, started working on making a trustworthy and reliable environment within the internet to avoid congestion. And this person, based upon a project from an applied maths project, the origin of Akamai stems from does not stem from technology. The history and the story is like an American movie. They were to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. He was rendering a tender, a bidding process every year when you proposed and put forward ideas. They won the project. They earned so much money, but no, things were not like this. They didn't win the project, and they were not awarded the prize they were expecting. But anyway, they got some money and they moved to Hawaii, and that's why the origin of the word Akamai comes from. Akamai is a Hawaiian word. I should be interested in knowing what Akamai means. Google it. The thing is, okay, with the little money we got, let's move to Hawaii, and they started their company. When they told me that they were Hawaiian-based originally company. I knew that the headquarters were not there. But Akamai today has been evolving so much over the past years. And as of today, we got a global platform with a peculiar presence on the internet. because through our platform goes through 30% of the web-based world traffic. With one characteristic, we don't serve gambling or pornography contents. Should have known this from the beginning. I may have changed my view, but at the moment we are not working with porno companies or gambling companies. I'm not losing my hope, by the way. 15% of the global traffic is big. So we have a peculiar vision of the internet. It's not only legitimate traffic. 30 million of domains through which our clients move forward is good traffic sometimes and bad traffic sometimes. Somebody asked me, Akamai has trouble. As Akamai has been attacking operations against Akamai. Yes, a percentage of this traffic is attacking traffic. Not only because it's not because they're attacking Akamai, it's because they're attacking our clients. And through this information, we can see and get a picture of what's going on in the internet. Another thing on the internet is that the amount of traffic. I always refer to an attack we suffered 1 month ago, the biggest attack last year. The volume of attacks against us, Akamai, the huge attacks against us, considerably speaking. But if you pay attention, we have an average traffic of 24 terabytes every day, and the comparisons, the benchmarking is with the football match in Spain. So the legitimate traffic is bigger than the illegitimate, but the illegitimate traffic is abundant and is seen more and more. I will sum up later. So we keep some data. Now more than before, from a security viewpoint, we are so much attacked and scanned. Formerly, this information was not seen as value. Some years ago, we ignored this information. We only focus on rendering and performance information. Now, as of today, we keep this information and registers to keep track of what is going on outside and where. And we're about. We follow upon bonnet. We don't block anything because we are not interested. What we do is to keep tracking of that, period. And with this, we elaborate. I will talk about the situation report. We create the state of the internet report. And it tells every quarter what we are finding on the internet. This is a summary of what I'm going to tell you now. But this is funny for me is where these data are coming from? What are we having on the platform? On Akamai, there are some internet-based platforms. For me to avoid giving names or citing internal denominations in Akamai, I will avoid giving names. I will only mention 4 names that have anything to do with reality, I hope. So, I will talk about 4 platforms. Do you know the names of the Teletubbies? Teletubbies names, do you know them? I must admit, I almost know everybody. Dempsey, Tinky Winky, Lala, and Po. Any similarity with reality is just a coincidence. There are 4 platforms for us to collect information. Some of them giving services to the clients, others not. So, the most popular and well-known platform is Dempsey. Dempsey is around 200,000 servers distributed all over 120 countries, more or less, 200,000 servers. Like I said, searched and distributed in over 120 countries, surveyed and polled. But we have included more peculiar countries. These platforms, Dipsy, has around 30%, 15% of the world traffic on the internet. We collect so much information about attacks. What kind of attacks? against applications, against our clients are made. The origin, the payload, any attacking vector to be registered is analyzed on the DevC platform. Yes, is operating at a 24 terabytes median traffic with 34 terabytes peaks and 2 trillions of hits per day, and we are giving additional services to the rest of our clients. On the other side, we have the 10K 1K platform. This is slightly different from DevSim. With 10K we register is network-based information. Who is scanning us? What way we are scanned? How the scanning techniques varied? And the attacking intents at networking level, which are the most common. Bonnets for DOS, once again, are a profitable business. So we gather everything happening at the communication level. I insist, Wenke is not a blocking tool. It's a collecting, gathering information. Most of the data you can see on reports, and the techniques we analyze to avoid attacks come from this platform. Thank you, Wenke. There is another different platform by the name of Lala, which is slightly different from the rest of the we have seen, which around 1,000 servers. Is not announced, is not published with our clients or products. Nakamai, this platform, Lala, sees what is happening. There are so many IPs outside waiting for somebody to attack them. Period. This Lala platform monitors what is happening with these IP attackable addresses. We gather as much information from a stack. Here we are focused on monitoring malware infecting bonnets, and for doing analysis of service. Here on this platform, on Lala, we detect what new attacking vectors are used on this platform, where they are coming from, which are the inflection vectors, the different techniques of intrusion. Lala platform is well in handy to dealing with all these things. With this, we get feedback on the remaining Akamai platforms. Last of all, we have a biggest communicational platform by the name of PO, which is used to block and mitigate any volumetric attack. Here we can find this biggest amounted attacks. When somebody is confronting the denial of service attacks, these attacks are very big, are very ample, so many gigs per second. Here we keep track of all the attacks over 100 gigs per sec. One of its peculiarities, we have an average 50 attacks over 50 gigs per week. So the race to the volume and the quantity is going faster and faster. Here, the size is relevant. In a denial of service, the one who is winning is the biggest one. Distribution makes you have so much powerful with last year 3 infected nodes, and one of the examples I'm giving you, if you're thinking on the Internet of Things and devices well connected on the Blackberries. We are now in a world where everybody is super interconnected, and we can find these super interconnected devices, and they are easily infectable. With this platform, with PO, we also conduct the elaboration of techniques in real time about how to be able to react to certain organizations, not attack, react to organizations. when our clients is suffering an attack is not a case of okay, I'm being scanned and seeing what's the tool used for me being scanned. When there is a real attack, is because there is an organization attacking from behind, a professional organization. Here we can find on the internet with professional crime groups doing what they're doing much better than we know. So the key for us to attack is to be able to understand what is happening, to react in the most appropriate and convenient way. So far, so good. I will give you some feedback and summary about what we had found. One of the biggest problems our clients suffer is that attacks are not one single way. There is no one single way of being attacked. They are not using one single tool. Attacks are multivectorial, as you can see now on screen. These multivectorial attacks generate an extra problem, which is that the equipment for you to defend and stand up against that is not that easy. It's not easy for us to defend ourselves against these attacks and how they are working at a network level and with the right team, your company being able to mitigate this kind of attacks, I guess, and I hope nobody will be here being obliged to defend yourselves against these multivectorial attacks because you don't have enough resources to counterattack, and you are not really ready and prepared to defend yourselves. I know what's happening with you. I don't know if you are running a security department. It's not easy. Why you need certain tools, certain protocols, certain procedures. Generally speaking, unless you are attacked, you don't know what to do. And sometimes we have to be in the need of hiring extra services to avoid attacks. Some people in some companies hire security teams when they had been attacked previously. This is a reality. This is a usual problem. It's not changed very much. 3 years ago, the rhythm of attacks against applications slowed down, and the infrastructure attacks rhythm went up. And now everybody is attacking infrastructures. The internet connection is the easy way to attack somebody. So variability. Another thing we can find is the origin. Reflector activity is done. You can see this picture on the internet. We can register where the reflection attacks are made from, the origin. Reflection tools to attack victims within Akamai. This kind of information offers us the possibility of knowing what places, size. There are so many vulnerable infrastructures. Generally speaking, is in the United States and in Asia is the current tendency. Much more attackable places in Asia rather than in the States. We can find so many infrastructures available in Asia to be attacked this way. And in early this year, I don't know what country in Asia this happened. They dismantle a group of people administering some bonnets. XROS. Are you familiar with this? Acronyms is a malware infecting Linux. The last day I read an article that Linux is not much vulnerable. They are infecting Linux because they can get the password from Linux through a gross and brutal force. This platform XRS having 1.5 million of hot spot all over the world. Some days ago, they found who was the manager of the platform. They put it aside from this managing the tool, but the tool itself is not dismantled. But we can see now attacks with the very same bonnet. The thing is, if you can see the distribution, the origin where these attacks are coming from, the reality is that a great part of the traffic is originated in Asia, especially in China. with participation from some actors and players, but the truth is that part of the traffic we are receiving all over the planet comes from Asia, especially China. This kind of infrastructure, instead of going down, they're going up. 4 years ago, we found that bonnets they had a fewer nodes, but more powerful. They stopped infecting common everyday computers. They infected servers. The technical support is included, and they are very good machines. So it was very profitable to infect servers 4 years ago. But in the very end, it has a short circuit, and now it's easier for them to infect small devices, like I said, with Blackberries. Then another thing that we are suffering, we are so much scanned continuously. We are so much scanned continuously. Like I said before, we hardly block anything. We don't have blocking tools, blocking traffic. We register what is going on through us because this gives us better support to clients. Generally speaking, the funny thing, this is kept on a long time. That the internet is easily to protect and is easily scannable. It is a reality you can face every day. The attacks, more effective attacks, are the simpler ones. In the layers of applications, the most frequent attacks are fixed by programming the right way. This is number one. Scannings, the threats of credentials are done in a very simple way. This is an indicator of the status the infrastructures are over there. Unfortunately, the level of seriousness when protecting published infrastructures outside is low. Do you remember the DNT attacks 1 year ago? NTP is a tool. It was a very simple one. You get a response to my signal period. NTP was played with, NTPs published all over the internet. It was easily to protect. It was easily protected. It was an error, easily correctable, period. Last quarter, once again, one of the most redundant multi-vectorial attacks was through NTP. In my opinion, it's slightly worrying how companies are taking the seriousness about the deployment of public infrastructures and not. I cannot see a real awareness about the right procedures to deploy these kind of infrastructures and not to expose them to some relevant and key services to the rest of the world. I cannot see that awareness. The information regarding scans, what is the origin of these scans? Asia is the most recurring place where attacks are taking place.
So the experience we have with this time of attacks, in general, we have some 40 to 50 attacks every week. We don't usually publish a lot of information about this. Basically, because we don't have the time, but we certainly share whatever is peculiar. This last one happened towards the end of last year, over the Christmas season. And what was peculiar was the victim that was attacked. At Akamai, we usually see that attack attempts focus on gaming, on the gaming industry in general. There is this trend clearly visible towards the end of December, but this was a software company that was attacked. The main objective was still unclear, but it was a software company. And the funny thing about it is that it was a coordinated attack by a group. I don't know if the word would be outsourcing, but there were different groups participating. We found at least 3 groups that had 3 botnets, 3 different botnets, You probably have heard of the Bill Gates botnet. And another one launching NTP attacks. What we saw was that it wasn't just one group. It was one group coordinating others. So quite a lot of work involved. And one of the consequences, well, we can go into the detail about the attacks, the techniques they used, the type of malware, how it worked. But one of the main characteristics of this attack is that it was distributed in a quite even way, in a quite homogeneous way throughout the world. Our Tokyo office got most of the hit, but if you take a look at the volume of traffic, it was spread evenly throughout the world. One of those botnets was the one discovered in January. So it was dismantled, but the others kept working, the other groups kept working. And the other main characteristic of this type of attack is that it lasts for more than one day. It is not just an attack for 24 hours or less and that's it. This type of attacks lasts for more than one day. In this case, it was 10, 12 days overall. And traffic volumes were quite significant. The problem with this is that we don't usually have anyone with such a high capacity to attack for so long. The main problem with this case, which is what forced us to carry out a detailed analysis, and we're hoping to get more information about it, is that these are platforms with a much larger capacity than we're used to, and this is a major concern. Not that we are worried about our platform, because we can take peaks of up to 35 terabytes per second, and that isn't usually a problem. But then an attack with such high volume is not only a problem for the end customer, but also for the communication networks. There is saturation on the carrier network because of the volume of traffic. So that's why this is so sensitive. There's nothing else I wanted to share, anyway. But I'm willing to respond to any questions that you may pose. I can answer anything, basically. If it's not here, you can approach me later. I'll be around.
Puoi preguntare?
You can go ahead. No problem with any questions.
De tráfico, aunque
Could you share screenshots for traffic? It depends on the type of attacks and the type of traffic, especially if it's yours. Couldn't you show a screenshot of the project you've been dealing with? Well, we usually share whenever we encounter malware which is relevant enough. When we go above a certain threshold of traffic, we do share that. So we do share, we have a sharing policy. Anything else? Nothing else from the floor? Oh, there's one. There's two. Right. Very little light. Sorry, I couldn't see you. If you could stand up, please. Who is the one closest? Can you stand up so that we can see you? Please check whether the microphone is working. You're talking about thousands and thousands of entries in the log. The correlation between all those details, since you only have 1,000 nodes for collecting information, how do you size the infrastructure when trying to capture big data? What techniques do you use? Yes, that's one of the main problems we have. Currently, we only save 4 petabytes. That's what we store, 4 petabytes. But these are not logs. This is not information in real time because that is very complicated to manage. This is information that has been treated beforehand. And yes, the concept of big data, enormous data, as one of our colleagues puts it, is one of our major concerns. What we do is to capture all that information, to try and find correlations automatically, and then we apply a specific treatment to that information when certain alerts go off. We don't store everything, we don't treat everything. What we do is to add things step by step, one of the objectives being detecting behavior patterns to find out what is happening at a certain site to reach conclusions at another site. That is what we are doing. There is a part at Akamai which is in charge of analyzing what happens in order to predict what will happen based on previous patterns. And that is basically what we store. With time, that will grow, of course, and we'll keep storing more things. But nowadays, it's 4 petabytes. That's 20 terabytes a day, and what we save is 4 petabytes. Only for security. Then there's the rest of the information. It's just a common big data platform we have alongside. Hi, Fede. One question from me. On the report from February last year, you talked about cross-site scripting attacks with Ufernet, tools like Ufernet. What do you think about that? What do I think about the attack or about what I mentioned? About cross-site scripting attacks. Ufernet, to be more specific, and about your report from February last year. Ufernet has things that are true and has things that are not true. There are some things that could work, and some of this, because of the architecture of our platform, do not work well. And it's not the only report that came out, okay? There's other things that came out on what tools you can use. I'm not necessarily talking about vulnerabilities, but certainly about the architecture of the platform. To be more specific, the cross-site scripting attack for Akamai platform as such is not a problem. It is a problem for some of our customers because of their application infrastructure. But it is a one-off sort of problem for them. We didn't block it. We wouldn't block it unless we get a request to do so. There is no tool that is blocked by Akamai by default. If someone launches an attack using any tool, it doesn't have to be Ufernet. If they launch an attack against Akamai, we don't stop it. We absorb it and we analyze it. Unless a specific customer wants us to stop it because they're interested in us doing so. I'll tell you later about my opinion. My personal opinion. Any more questions from the floor? Hello, and thank you for that keynote presentation. I'd like to ask, when the attack is launched by a government, what is the protocol you apply? The protocol is exactly the same as if it doesn't come from a government. If someone launches an attack Obviously, we have different regulations in different countries, so it is complicated to operate homogeneously throughout the world. But the protocol is exactly the same. We as a platform, as I said a minute ago, we don't block attacks as such. I'm not sure whether you are referring to an attack from China. I'm not sure you're talking about that one or another one. Anyway, the one from China, the one from the search engine in China, right. The thing is that type of attack, that type of action is quite frequent. That hit the headlines because there was an interest in making it clear in the media. But there's many. If a customer from Akamai has protection against denial of service and the attack is launched by the Chinese government, we'll be there to stop it if this is a request coming from the customer. There's not a problem with that. We've never got a request from the government saying, you cannot stop this, but we're a private company and we operate throughout the world. So that isn't a problem to us. We'll see what happens if laws change, but there are lots of attacks, quite a few of them, from all governments. I have another one myself, another question. Can you hear me? Bearing in mind all the traffic you take a look at, and bearing in mind the coordination between the different data centers and the initial connections, even before the exploitation of the data, couldn't you perhaps publish an indicator? Knowing that an attack is happening, with the traffic you're looking at, you probably know where it comes from. For sure, and you must know where it comes from. I know that it is not always possible to know where an attack comes from. But in general, you can indeed do a tracking of where the attack comes from. But there's certain types of details that we don't store because of privacy and data protection. But in some cases, we have been forced to provide some more information about the pattern, the origin of the attack. This is a summary of the information we store. But then there's other details, like for example, BGP. What happens in BGP? When a region disappears, when someone routes all traffic through a site they shouldn't be using, it's usually failures or mistakes. People connecting to the wrong machines. But it is true, if we analyze the patterns of traffic that we detect, we may have an indication about the origin. This we can do on a customized basis, based on requests we can get from our customers. But the information is there and it's quite striking. Any more questions from the floor? Very well. Thank you very much, Fede.